Now you know what your kid's breathing when he goes to school. So then everyone started asking us, what can we do next? Now we know it's unhealthy or we know it's like 400. What do you do? Give us a solution. There are two sorts of solutions to everything, right? One is preventive, where you go to the root cause of the problem, you prevent it from ever happening. That involves like massive societal change, policy, human behavior, all of that. We are four people who have at this point very smartly quit our jobs. So we have no money either. How do we do anything that is societal? So we said, okay, let's do something curative. So we looked at air purifiers. Now, there's a bunch of air purifiers in the market. Kareena Kapoor, you'll see her starting in August. Every year, she will advertise some air purifier. She is ridiculously healthy. And so is that child of hers. Whatever she advertises, I will buy. I want to look like her. And I never will, but I want to, right? So we're like, okay, we look at air purifiers. But these things are all massive. They're like 10 kilos, 15 kilos. Maddie's son is 10 kilos. He goes to school. How will he carry a 10-kilo thing with him? It's kind of ridiculous. So then we designed this. We built a really small air purifier. It goes everywhere. It's like you can see it's about hand-sized. Those bottles that you take to gym, it's that size. It gives you 8, 10 hours of HEPA-grade air. And at the end of the day, when your kid comes back from school, if you send it with your kid to school, you can sync it up with your phone and you'll get data out of it. So now Maddie's kid can take this to his nursery and he's safe all day. That's our hope. Then we got offers from a couple of companies to buy this product. We were like, great, or validation. First guys were like, we want to buy a sensor, now we want to buy the company. But we've not started selling this yet. So we prototyped these and we have a few of these running around. But we don't know what it's worth, right? So how can we sell anything? So while we were doing this, we kept going back to the sensors, right? We want to get better and better data out to see what actual pollution is like. So we iterated a bunch of sensors. The one on the right is something we built ourselves. There's a lot of sensors, and I was just talking to Ronak about this. Some of the sensors, the cheap ones especially, are horrible. It's horrible. So I have a background like I was introduced in R&D. I used to work with automotive, with vehicles. You have a 1.1% failure rate in vehicles. It's even lower in aircraft, by the way. That's why they don't crash. Electronics, 10%, 20%, that's acceptable. Horrible. So all the stuff we get, half the time, like someone keeps saying one of the big challenges is calibration. You get this stuff, it's calibrated in another country, it doesn't work here. After some time, it doesn't work. What do you do? Data, you don't know what you're doing with it. By the way, anyone wants to work with us on, we're super open. Anyone wants to work with us, I hope you'll give me a generous offer like you gave previously. But we are happy to work with anyone on any branch of this massive, massive problem. So then we used all these sensors. You know, these are really low-cost sensors, like $50, $100. So we went to everyone we know, like all our friends, all our well-wishers, those guys who bought those sensors initially, 120 of them. We're like, can we put these on your cars, on your bikes, on your gates, everywhere? We want to know what's going on everywhere because, you know, like in Bangalore, you live 13 kilometers from one of those big sensors. So what are you going to get out of it, right? So we want to be like, what are you actually breathing, boss? Like, kya ho raha hai? So it's insane. We found the data is mind-blowing. My house in summer is the same as rural Switzerland. It's single-digit particulate matter. The only places we've seen that, and we don't travel a lot, but we once went to Singapore for some conference thing, and Google invited us to Switzerland once, and we saw single-digit. The only other time we've seen it is in and around our houses in Bangalore. Single-digit. We swapped sensors also. We're like, maybe the sensor not working. We use various sensors, all showing between 2 and 6. Same house in November, 85. Same house, no difference. Jhadu laga raha tha main har din, so it's not like it changes. We've seen 50 micrograms per cubic meter difference across neighborhoods that are roughly the same, all residential, no through flow of diesel vehicles like buses or garbage trucks, no industry, no new roads, no construction. 50 micrograms, that's massive. 50 micrograms is a sort of thing that will give you a 5% increase in heart size. And this research just came out last month in London, 5%. Dil bada ho gaya, literally. This is what it does to you. And this is just residential, right? Industrial, though, don't even think about it. Hyderabad, we saw 80 in the day, 300 at night. Because like someone pointed out, at night, everything is switched off. 300 at night. The same senior management who works at the factory is bringing their stuff in at night. They live opposite. So now we know if you live in one part of town, in the red part, you are 40% more likely to get various forms of cancer than if you live in the green part, right? Your heart is going to be larger, and that's not a great thing. So we have all of these numbers for one city. So hey, please like queue up to buy our air purifier if you live in Bangalore. Buy 3, buy 5. If you live in another city, you probably need it as well. We'll come to you with that data soon. So here we are in essence. We built the sensor. We built an air purifier. You can use all of these all day. You know how you're breathing. Great. And we'll do all this know your breathing, we'll tell you for free. We are building an app. We'll give it to you. Whip out your phone anywhere. Take the data. Be happy if you're in one of the green zones. If you're in one of the red zones, maybe not so much. But maybe you'll be able to do something about it, right? You have all this data. You know that maybe you can move somewhere. Maybe your kid can shift schools. If you have enough data and you have enough people, you can start making a noise to your local MLA or your corporator or whoever your divisional authority is. Which, funnily enough, is that whole preventive thing that we couldn't do earlier because we were only 4 people. Changing your house, buying a new house, changing your kid's school, that's a pretty major lifestyle change. That's what we were talking about initially. If you get 500 people in a neighborhood, which is very small, by the way, 500 people is like one medium-sized apartment block in Bangalore. Common floor का community है, उस पे हो जाएगा 10-15 मिनट में. 500 people sign up and say, tell your local MLA or corporator कि ये बंद करो, वो बदल दो. You can start impacting policy. Then you have the attention of the authorities and things start moving, right? So that's our journey. We began with saving one kid, saving a few kids, and now we're doing this. Hopefully in about 20 years, everyone, and I mean everyone in this room, will look back at this juncture, this year, this day, this time, and realize this is the start of when we realized we could do something for the next 20 years. Thank you.
And before you leave the dais, I would like you to give the answer to the quiz.
Right, this is not my fault, but the question was framed wrong. Kanpur is the most polluted city in the world, but I think the question was, what's the most polluted capital city in the world? It's not Delhi. No, Beijing is cleaner than Bangalore currently. Sorry? No, Raipur is the capital of a country, sorry. And no, it's still not Raipur. It's Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. Has a standard PM average over winter of 1300. Every child under 5 in Ulaanbaatar has breathing issues. Every child. They have the highest cancer rates in the world. We are running a pilot with UNICEF there, that's why we know this. In winter? Summer is very good. So Ulaanbaatar has issues like Delhi does in terms of being ringed by mountains, but it's far worse. And all the nomads who live in the city in winter use coal and wood stoves. So every kid is affected there. So UNICEF is running a pilot there currently.
May I request Mr. A. Vaidyanathan to give the memento to Mr. Akshay Joshi?
So you got something from me now.
Yes.
So I should thank IIT Kanpur.
This is a good start.
A good start. Awesome. Workers are from same city?
Yes, I would love.
Good.
Just we'll welcome our next speaker, Dr. Jaideep Sahadev, Dr. Deshdeep Sahadev. He is going to tell us about the person power for defending our fundamental right to clean air. A brief description about him is he was a professor at IIT Kanpur and has offered electives in quantum field theory, advanced statistical mechanics, and advanced condensed matter physics. And he's currently running a company on air quality monitoring.
No, certainly not on air quality monitoring. That's the whole problem. Wait, this thing is not going to... Can we just get my laptop? We'll try running it from my laptop. going to be completely different from the other talks, in part because, I mean, Jatin insisted, I told him that I really had not been, although I run a company, it has, and we've been, of course, we are in Delhi, and therefore we're victims of air pollution, but we really have not started working on it in the way in which we'd like to, all right? So let me start with clearing the air, if not cleaning it. So let me, so first of all, I'm not an expert in air pollution, all right? I'm a teacher, and I'm really a mentor of doers, which is how we got into actually building the company. I was teaching at IITK for a couple of decades, and I eventually left, and we got full-time into building this company. All right, I'm an entrepreneur. I run a high-tech physics company, and it was really for physics. I finally left because there were things that we were not able to do here, and I just needed a wider platform, so we moved out. I'm a citizen and a patriot. My name is Deshdeep, as opposed to, I mean, but hopefully the thing goes a little beyond that. And I'm a social activist, and I'm completely outraged at what has happened. I mean, just sitting there, about 15, 20 years ago, we had worried about the fact that our fundamental right to water has been taken away. I mean, slowly, instead of supplying clean water in the taps and so on, we've suddenly found all these companies coming and beginning to sell water to us. Now, every single bit of clean water seems to have to be purchased. That fundamental right went away. And at that time, we realized that the same thing could happen with air. And now it has happened. It's gone. And we're just sitting there, I mean, being unable to do anything about it. And I mean, when these fundamental rights were actually put down, nobody, I mean, they put down the right to freedom of speech and, you know, or the right to practice of religion because they'd seen those rights being taken away. But the right to clean air, to breathing, the right to water, I mean, nobody in their wildest imaginations thought that that could be taken away, but it has been taken away. It's gone, all right? And so now how do we react to that whole thing, all right? Now, so first let's just state what the problem is, all right? And the problem is, I'm going to state it in the following way, that on monitoring PM 2.5, we've got all sorts of monitors in our company. There's a person who joined who's completely paranoid about the whole thing. So after coming back from the US, he's been there now for 2 years, and he never moves out without a mask, all right? And I mean, every single breathing moment, he has the mask on. I said, man, this is no way to live. But he just absolutely refuses to do that. But anyway, so there are people, 2.5 and other unsavories. We find that 2.5 is between 200 and 400. Every morning we wake up to that particular thing, day after day. The others are similar. So the point is, you know, bring 2.5 down below 50, all right? Not just locally. I mean, this whole thing of local, we made air purifiers in the company and all that stuff, and we brought the count down to 4, 5, and so on. All right, but that is a very dangerous thing to do. I'm in fact very uncomfortable with doing that and productizing, for a very simple reason, because I've watched this happen. You have the moment, in fact, that will not solve the problem, it will actually aggravate it. For the following reason, that once you have built these things, you have now a company, and it'll become a big company, all right, because the problem is so big. But what will now happen is that you have got a huge amount of vested interest backing air pollution. That whole company will collapse if the air pollution goes away, and therefore they will not allow it to collapse. They will use their money in exactly, I've watched this happen in the US. The NRA, the National Rifle Association, is one of the sources of absolute evil in that country. Their children are getting massacred in schools and this and that. And what they said was that the answer to these massacres is not less guns, but more guns, all right? The school teachers, the primary school teachers should be carrying guns to school so that if somebody comes to shoot the children, they will shoot those guys before the children can be shot. We said, God, what a nightmarish vision, yeah? You have your small kids, and the first thing they're introduced to is gun violence, yeah? And that's what the NRA wants. Now that is something, so even though we built it, The only thing that, partially had me thinking about it was that we needed clean rooms for a lot of the work that we are doing. So we said, okay, the clean rooms, you can use the same air purifiers to start building clean rooms, all right, where you really need to do semiconductor work and all that stuff. But we are still, the jury is out on that. But anyway, what we have to do is to bring this down below 50, 24/7, 365 days in a year, all right? Say for the next 5 years, no holds barred. You can do whatever you want. You stand on your head, you go to the government, you raise consciousness of this person, that person, you even give lectures like this. But if the thing does not come down, you've done nothing, zero, all right? And this is harsh, but that's what it is. So if the counts do not reduce, nothing has happened, no matter how many awards or funding or this or that, all right? That's the problem, all right? Now, so in fact, these people, so now who solves the problem? That's the next thing. In the talks that were given, it was just assumed. The gentleman who would come from the government, he assumed that he is the person who's going to do it. I certainly don't think so. The government is, I'll give you one example where we've actually taken the whole thing through and solved it, all right? The government was a sort of a peripheral player. We used many of the agencies of the government, we used the court, we used various other things, and we solved the problem. But certainly left to the government, the problem would not have gotten anywhere. It would have been the same thing, zero progress, all right? So now, and the real problem, and the other thing is that people assume that if you have lots of money, you'll solve the problem. Throw enough money at it and it'll get solved. But that's also not true. My experience is that even in a poor country like India, there's lots of, first of all, capital comes in different forms, all right? The Arabs have a lot of finance capital. Way back in the 70s, they were selling oil and they had, Saudi Arabia for a population of, 3 or 4 million people, had $48 billion coming in at that particular time. But that doesn't mean that they can produce great science and great technology. That's a different form of capital. And the third form of capital is organizational. In the same years, I remember that the Kaaba was taken over, and when they finally, pushed out the people who had taken it over, they cut their heads, they sewed them back. It is something out of some medieval thing. The organizational levels are really very poor. So now the thing is, and where is this? Unless, Jatin had told me that, hey, if you can do all this high-tech stuff, why don't you take up things like mass spectrometers and see, exactly what the composition is. These mass spectrometers are very expensive. They're all being imported and they're like 7-8 crores. So I said, give me the manpower and we'll do it, all right? So now this whole assessment of the issue is the people who are going to do it are those who have the ability and the willingness. Those are the only two things that are required. You first have to be able to do it, and you have to be willing to do it, all right? Now, can we find those people? If we find those people, the problem will get solved. So we are swapping one problem for the other problem. That's why the name of the whole talk is Person Power for doing this. All right, now okay, so let's break it down. Why am I saying that? The first thing that people have talked about is just monitoring, and then some of the equipment, these sensors, etc., aren't expensive, all right? And you can buy them, you can sort of make those things. You can have business models around the sensors, right? And you can, which of course people have spoken about. Things like mass spectrometers are extremely expensive, and making those is, where you're really breaking up the composition and figuring out precisely what it is that is causing the pollution, that is very, very expensive. All right, and so you say, well, why don't you make it? But if you want to make it, you need people to make it. And I will just tell you exactly, we are into high-tech engineering. I was at IITK. I eventually left so that we could actually have a place where high-tech engineering in India, in fact, the sentence I'd used, I'd written to Jatin was, we created a company so that scientific and technological activism could have a home in India, all right? And it's completely indigenous, my passport expired 15 years ago. So now collecting, interpreting, conceptualizing the data, which has happened, Sumit was talking about some of that. identifying the sources and making the intelligence actionable. That requires a certain type of person power. But most of all, after that, you have to understand the socio-political implications of and implementing the actionable intelligence. That requires a completely different type of person power. So this one cuts across politics, sociology, technology, the whole lot, and getting it into a coherent form so that you're able to push it through and bring the count down universally. All right? I mean, what has happened right now is that you've taken away something that we had taken for granted, for free, air and water. And now you've replaced it with figures of GDP and this and that. You're not doing the accounting right. I mean, something that was free earlier has now become very, very expensive. That's all negative. You add it up and it's possible that our GDP is exactly zero. I mean, so that there's a book called Small is Beautiful by Schumacher, where, I mean, I recommend that book to everyone. And in the beginning, what he says is that a lot of these things are capital that built up over millennia after the whole ecosystem built up, which allowed human beings to finally come in. We're now destroying that ecosystem. That capital is being taken away and is being projected as GDP figures. All right. Anyway, now I'll just give you a few experiments with person power. You'll have to keep telling me the time, all right? Okay, so, all right? Yeah. How much is it? No, wait, I have half an hour. It's not 15 minutes. So, I mean, you can look at the program. And that's what Jatin told me. In fact, he was so excited about this stuff. I said, look, it's probably not the right talk for this thing. But he wanted to give me an hour. Anyway, so I have 16 minutes then. All right, so I'll just tell you what my experience here was. I was only a theoretical physicist. I'd never, in fact, gone into a lab willingly. But when I came here, I was in the US and all that stuff, the usual stuff. I came here, I started moving around, and I found that, first of all, there's enormous propaganda about how brilliant the students were in this lab. All right? And so I also believed it. But there were things that started rankling. I walked into the lab and I found that all the equipment was imported. I said, wait, this equipment costs a huge amount of money. These are all millions of dollars. If we had such brilliant engineers, why aren't we building the whole thing ourselves? So I was given all sorts of theories, and they were bad theories. I knew they were bad. So I finally decided that there's only one way of trying to do this, and that was to try to build those things ourselves. And that's how the whole idea of the company came up. We started doing it. So here, there were 3 experiments that we did, and those experiments are the key, because if we have to solve this problem, all right, we'll have to think about those, exactly the results. I'll just tell you exactly the way it happened, all right. At that time, IIT Kanpur had the best electrical engineering department in the country. All right. So in my innocence, I thought that if we need to build circuits, all I have to do is to go to the best electrical engineering department and pick out the best students and ask them to build circuits, and the circuits will get built. So I go out, I locate the best students, the ones who had, they were 10.0s, like no B's, nothing, all right. And I didn't believe those marks, so I spoke to the teachers, and they said, oh, close your eyes, take these guys. They're brilliant, absolutely. They're geniuses. Anything, they'll do anything. So I take them to Delhi, and 6 of them. And I asked them to build circuits. And to my amazement, they struggle for 3 months, and not one circuit gets built. I was just left stammering. I said, man, explain this to me. How has this happened? You have gotten an A in every course. You have every teacher swearing by you, and you can't get one circuit working. They said, well, sir, we don't know how this is happening, but this has never happened to us. Somebody just thrust something in our hands and said, build this. So I started thinking about it. I said, wait, suppose I have a set of people who are obviously not retarded at least, all right? So, and I have to teach them 15 courses in electrical. I have to make sure that they understand every word of what I say. But there's a requirement. At the end end of it all, they shouldn't be able to build one circuit and make it work. How would I teach them the electrical engineering? And I couldn't solve the problem at that time, but I realized that the best electrical engineering department in the country had figured the algo out and had implemented it. All right, because that's exactly what we were seeing. Now next year, something happened. In fact, if that hadn't happened, the company wouldn't have come up. So we teach our own course on in electronics in our own department. All right, and the teacher came to me and said that there's a person who's the best guy I've ever seen in electronics. Music to my ears. I went to the guy, I picked him up, and I said, will you come and work with us? And he said, sure. He comes in, and this time exactly the opposite happens. Every circuit he touches starts working. It's like the Bira start. And this was even more interesting. I said, wait, yeah, how is this happening now? I mean, where did you learn your electronics? So he said, well, I have to think about it, yeah. And I said, think. So he thought about it. And then he said, well, you know, I mean, my father works in some company or other. Right? But what he's interested in is music. There are also some musical instruments in our house. And so when I started out, I started playing the instruments from the age of 3. And, you know, I just played one tune and another one and so on until I, you know, reached class 8. In class 8, an uncle of mine gave me an electronics kit. So I started playing with it the way I was playing musical instruments. But in class 8, I was sufficiently good at music that I was giving tuitions and earning money. So I made one circuit, then a second circuit, then I ran out of components. But I'd wait for the end of the month. I would get my stipend. I would immediately, I mean, whatever I would pay for my the tuitions. I would go buy more components, build more circuits. So class 8, class 9, class 10, class 11, class 12. First year of presidency, second year, third year of presidency. For the first time he comes to IIT Kanpur. By this time he's been building circuits for 9 years. All right. And here he gets his first theoretical course. He knows that these things work, these things don't work. All right. But he sort of suddenly, now he doesn't have a conceptual framework. He sees this and now everything falls into place. Every day was like a bolt of lightning. He figures it out. And he now starts, and once he came to the company, he picked out. We gave him all the chips he needed and this and that, and things start getting built. All right. So that's really how the thing took off. And now this is very relevant because if we have to build, all right. So then I finally understood the phenomenon, and this is one of the most important things here. You have to look at the whole the education by analogy with music, all right? And now if you look at music, all of us would agree, all right, that music, if you have to be a musician, you have to do one of two things. You either have to sing or you have to play an instrument, all right? Now, but can you be part of the music industry without being a musician? And the answer is yes, of course. You can sell CDs, you can run. It's already 15 minutes, it's 16 minutes done. All right, okay, then we'll have to stop immediately after that. Many of the key things, I mean, are going to get, at least let me finish this slide, all right. So what happens is that now you can be a DJ, you can write the music column for the Hindu, you could organize concerts, you could do all sorts of things, all right. And what is also equally true is that the musician is not the richest part of the music industry. Now all our institutions, without exception, that's why this example that Irfan had given was also a very interesting one. This stuff was built by a person who didn't really come out of this educational process, right? Every single one of them is training people for the support of engineering, not for engineering. Because if it was for engineering, then the first thing you would do is, the moment they entered any of the IITs or any of our institutions, they would be asked to build products and get those products working. And they would not pass until they'd gotten the products working. But right now, and you do not learn engineering by sitting in classes and taking notes. You learn it by building things, by putting it all together. That's why a company was needed in order to build the entire thing, to to actually build up the whole experience of engineer. If we have to build any of the serious things out here, all right, then that's exactly what is required. We need to build up a lot more person power in order to do this entire thing. Until we have that person power, these problems will simply not get solved. So there was, after this, I was going to give you a solved example where we actually implemented all of this. We took up an actual problem and we took it through all the steps that I've given you. I mean, there was a part of the ridge in Delhi which has a huge natural forest. They were going to cut it down, put 13 five-star hotels there, all right. And we were just taking a walk, we saw this happening, and we said, wait, what can we do? I mean, it was like air pollution. It's not of our making, we were just there and we victims. So we saw this happening, all right. And we said, we have to stop it and bring the forest back. And we did exactly that. I'll show you at least the last slide in that, all right. We brought it. How we did it is what would have been interesting, but you know, we're running out of time, so I'll stick with that. And there were all sorts of things that we had to do in order to make that happen. But we eventually we won a whole case on environmental grounds, but the forest has now come back. This is all Delhi, by the way, all right? And this is that part of the ridge, and the ruthless Homo sapien hands the area back to its co-owners. You have all these, the fauna is back. All right, this is all, I mean, you go there, you won't even think that you're in Delhi. In fact, you see these photographs, but we managed to preserve that part of the forest completely. I mean, up to, I am not. So the conclusions really are that if you have the right person power, the problem will disappear. But then, you know, the problem is not so much one of lowering the count, it's of creating the people who can lower the count. The moment you've done that, not only will this problem get solved, there'll be lots of other problems that get solved. But you use this, the opportunity that I see here is to use this to train the people to do a huge number of things. So money is about as much use as $1 billion in hard cash would be on a desert island. You can't just convert this. And I've grappled with this problem for over 20 years of mentoring at IITK. I'm still grappling with it at the company. Okay, I'll stop.
May I request Ms. Anita Bhargav to come on stage to felicitate Mr. Deshdeep Sehdev?
Yeah, doctor.
Dr. Deshdeep Sehdev.
Yeah.
Please come in the center of the stage.
So you'll have to take the mantle from here. Yeah. So we're going to be speaking in tandem. We found that we believed in almost the same thing. So since she'll have to pick up from where I left off. Yeah, wait, sorry, you're supposed to put this on.
Yes.
Thanks.
But I think I'm not after you.
No, that's sort of. Yeah, okay. Take care. Yeah, sorry, this was a little out of line.
I would like to call upon stage Mr. A. Vaidyanathan. He is the founder and managing director of Personal Air Quality Systems Private Limited, and he's from IIM Bangalore. PAQS actually has successfully commercialized innovative IoT solutions in air quality monitoring, and it has some wonderful solutions for outdoor environment sensors for smart cities, indoor environment sensors for smart buildings and homes, and smart inhaler for individuals with respiratory illness. Mr. A. Vaidyanathan.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. What's the time like so that I conform to the time? Perfect. I'll do that. Okay. I think it's been a day, lots of talk on air quality, pollution. I'll see if I can try to make it a little different, but then I'm talking the same domain. So we have titled our presentation Air Quality Contents and Solution, Leveraging IoT, LI, and ML. It's an incredibly complex problem. When you try to say air quality, air pollution, we all know the health impact. Everybody is impacted, every institution is involved, whether it's a government, NGT, NGOs, Supreme Court, common man, industries. So where do you start, where do you end, how do you work about it? But the nice thing is today we've been hearing so many youngsters coming and talking about different approaches to solving problems. I suppose that gives a flavor of the complexity of the problem. So we have tried to approach it as a unit level data, unit level content, how it impacts you. I mean, this slide, I'll pass it. There is a need for, only one reference I'd like to draw here. There isn't adequate data in India. There isn't adequate usable data. There isn't adequate accurate data in the country. So Dr. Tripathi talked in the morning about the validation. Ronak also talked about the validation and calibration. What we have realized is the low-cost sensors is an important starting point for us to try and make a meaningful solution out of it. But to make a meaningful solution, how do you get the data to talk meaningfully, accurately? If I'm taking the liberty of giving an example. We all use the phrase context-aware computing. You know, when we start at point A to point B, Google tells us you're going to reach in 45 minutes time. But that's a context, going from point A to point B. But as you start going, what happens is there is further data points coming to you saying that traffic high and stuff like that, because of which the time span changes. It says 70 minutes instead of the original 45. That's context-aware computing. So the low-cost sensors suffer from similar problem. Lab, they perform in a particular way. The moment you take it to field, they behave absolutely differently, influenced by temperature, humidity as a start parameters, other influencing gases and such. So the key thing I think we have tried to crack is work on that core technology of context-aware calibration, then work on multiple technologies, and touch wood, we have been able to take the solution to the market. Just in terms of time context, all of us are talking from 2014 through to now. So that's the same time span we worked. We touch wood, we have been talking of all flavors of people, experience, qualifications. We happen to be from Ivy League institutes, work hard, respectively. Raghav is atmospheric scientist, a decade at MIT. Nataraj is Carnegie Mellon MS Engineering. He was in Xerox Labs. I'm a serial entrepreneur, as introducer said, post-IIT, post-IIM, but I've become more a techie, although I'm an MBA. So yeah, Tyagaraja is an electronic circuit designer. So we tried to put together a serious team because we thought this called for that attention. And we are a ESDM company. We thought we should build a product in-house. So 2 million lines of code we have written. In our motherboard, there will be no call home features. We know we can say it is a secure product. We know where the data goes, what goes. No confusion in any of the modules. So we have done the coding, hard work part of it. The market challenge is par for the course. Coming straight to the solution, we needed to talk of vehicles to take our solution to the market, B2B, industrial customers, willing NGOs. Smart cities was a great vehicle again. And I suppose that's an entrepreneur's challenge. Whatever your product or solution is, how do you take it to market? You need to do through multiple means. We were able to take it through various such sources. And we also did some pioneering work. Like, initially we did fitting it on public vehicles and doing a dynamic mapping of the air quality. While I went around the country talking to the agencies and institutions, they all dismissed it till Google published a paper in 2014, August, they did a research on 3 vehicles at Denver. That's when it became relevant. But the good thing is some institutions adopted it, and we have this dynamic air quality monitoring solution deployed on public vehicles in several places. So that's the data part of it. Say you have a sensor that gets you data, make it accurate by context-aware computing, then what can you do with the data? Of course, once you have data, a lot of magic can be done at the back end in terms of hotspot analysis or location analytics or doing a spatial temporal plot. Because what we thought is we need to start talking of data, content, every square kilometers. I think somebody else said every person needs to map it. Yes, that's actually the truth. The front of the building will be very different from the rear of the building. We are kidding ourselves thinking that we know air quality data in Delhi. No, we do not know. Each block is different. Front of the building is different. And that based on time, real-time, continuous, and contaminous data is what we need. So we believe technology can come to an answer. Some of the cities where we put our sensors through various projects, and these are all calibrated data. We get an R-squared value upwards of 0.7, and we do believe that once we have an accurate data, we are able to do a spatiotemporal mapping of it to get a further accurate hyperlocal data. So these are available real time, Vizag, Jaipur, Bangalore. So yes, we are able to do multiple cities in terms of these types of data. And that's, I think, just the beginning. I think from this morning through to now, we've all heard phrases such as low-cost sensors. We have talked of need for hyperlocal data. We talked of need for national policy that minister is supposed to announce today. I think there is a need for various players, the government, institutes, NGOs, private enterprises to come together to create a common platform. It may happen, it may not happen, but the point is, market economy very often says multiple number of players will be there and somebody will come with a solution. We are happy to be competing in that space if it is to be a competition or if it is a collaborative mode. As I told when IIT talked of doing a project, we'll be happy to do a project because I think the space is big enough. If we crack the problem in India, I think we have the third world country, the developing countries to export our solutions to and make it good for all of us. Yeah, based on the platform, we try to work, as we were introduced, we also try to work on indoor solutions for the corporates and also for smart homes. We do believe that we capture a unique context. Once you have a hyperlocal outdoor data, indoor data, you have to try and drive an optimal solution, actuation through the Alexas and the Google Homes. And of course, this is a project that's very, very dear to me, Smart Inhaler, because the health impact of pollution is inhalation. We had a doctor talking this morning about it. So we worked on it and we have done some pilots in few of the hospitals. We have filed for a global patent and this is a product that we wish to take to the global market. Yeah, the good thing is the ecosystem in India is good enough for young entrepreneurs and not so young entrepreneurs like us also, but we've been touched, we got some awards and recognitions that motivates us to work further. And yeah, and the good thing is we have applied for a R&D lab recognition from DSIR. We are working with CSIR Lab, CFTRI, Mysore for biosensor for food contaminants. We do believe there's a great opportunity to talk of sensor development and the technologies. Thank you.
May I request Ms. Diksha Avasthi to come and present the memento to Mr. A. Vaidyanathan?
Yeah.
So we'll be having a very short tea break now, and we have a very happening presentation from Mr. K. Vijay Raghavan, who is the Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India at sharp 5 p.m., and that will be on Skype. So we'll request you all to be back by 4:50. Up on stage, Rian, to further that.
Hello everyone, good evening. So we held a competition called Puzzle Day, where the participants were given a set of 5 puzzles. So that was held exclusively for IITK students. 33 teams registered for the competition. Ultimately, 11 teams submitted answers to 1 or more puzzles. So are the participants present in this room? Puzzle Day participants, if you're here, please raise your hand. Yep. So the third prize goes to the team Cracklers, represented by Anuj Shah, Sunit Gautam, and Rahul Rohit. Please come on stage if you're here. Big round of applause for them, please. Sunit Gautam, Rahul Rohit, and Anuj Shah, are you in this hall? So yeah, they're not here, sadly. So they have been awarded rupees 600 as prize money. So we'll move on to the second prize now. So the team SRVX, represented by Shubham Bhagat, Rohit Ranjan, and Varshav Sri, won the second prize. As a token of appreciation, we are giving them VR headsets and the fourth IIT novel. Please come on stage. Big round of applause for them. I would request Pradeep sir to come on stage and do the honors. So they got 3 out of 5 puzzles, right? The puzzles were a bit challenging. You can try it on yourself and judge. And the first prize goes to the team. Kind of funny name. He called his team Meow. So represented by Priyadarshi Singh. Please come on stage. He managed to get 4 out of 5 puzzles right. I'd like to request Pradeep sir to do the honor again. So as a token of appreciation, we are giving him the book and a smartwatch. I would like to thank ESAL IIT Kanpur and Alumni Association IITK for making this possible. Without them, I had dream of organizing the competition from a long time. It became true this time, so thank you so much.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Hello. Can I connect in 2 minutes more? Great. Yeah. And JP, you've sent me your mail? Great. Perfect. Thank you.
Government of India, succeeding Dr. R. Chidambaram on April 3rd, 2018. He was Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Government of India earlier. And he's working with all the arms of the government and all the states. And his primary goal is that science, technology, and innovation solutions should reach the most needy for the sustainable development of India and the well-being of our planet. So please welcome Mr. K. Vijay Raghavan. May I have a round of applause, please?
I'd like to add, Vijay Raghavan was, if I remember right, a mechanical or electronics engineer. He switched to biology. Then he was the director of the National Biology Institute in Bangalore, where he's done some amazing work. And after that, he was made Secretary Biotechnology Department. And he finished his tenure there. And I think within a week of his finishing his tenure as Principal Secretary Biotechnology Department, he was appointed as the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Prime Minister. So obviously, what he did as Principal Secretary in the Biotechnology Department was so good that Narendra Modi decided to appoint him as the Principal Scientific Advisor. He's one batch my junior, so he passed out from IIT Kanpur in 1975. For classmates who just might know him, he used to be called Joey. And his smile, Joey's great smile hasn't changed. You'll see it in the video.
Thank you very much for having me. So, if you can very briefly give me a summary of what's happened so far, then I can come in. Or do you want me to start without listening to you? Which I have, but okay, okay, that's not a problem. But okay, let me just quickly then cut to the chase. And JP, what you can do is when I'm speaking, if you could mute your side so that there isn't an echo, and then you can unmute it when I come in. Good, that's much better. And if you don't hear me, then you have to just let me know by waving or something and unmuting. So thank you very much. One of the fantastic things about Kanpur is the presence of IIT there, and it's actually amazing over its history. What I think it's absolutely important now that IIT Kanpur becomes recognized for doing something with Kanpur in partnership with Kanpur. And, there was a meeting of all the directors of the IITs, the Central University Vice Chancellors, with the President some time ago last year. And the President pointed out that it's important that these places at which a lot of investment in talented people and resources have gone in, connect to their immediate surroundings, and bring the best science and technology in the world to address local issues. And I always like to give the example of the California Institute of Technology and the Jet Propulsion Lab. Caltech manages the Jet Propulsion Lab for NASA and undertakes great missions. In a similar manner, IIT Kanpur needs to manage the Kanpur Propulsion Lab to address problems of Kanpur and solve it in a mission mode. And there are no shortage of problems in Kanpur, but the beauty of Kanpur is that if you address some problems well, they can be addressed and solved anywhere in the world. The complexities are not just of science and technology and what technology to use, but they're also challenges of getting them implemented in a very complex ecosystem. For that, data is necessary, and that data needs to be distilled, analyzed, and fed back into decision-making constantly. So the key points which JP has mentioned, I'll run through them. I think they're really critical. The network of monitoring stations, if you want to look at pollutions of various kinds, the reference monitors, the sensors, these are all technological mechanisms which address the sensing of data. There are also ways by which the biomass burning for heating in winter, which is a major contributor. How does one address that? And, we need to have mechanisms by which the technology institutions in Kanpur, including IIT Kanpur, deploys these instruments in a manner where the data can be collected and brought back. So these are absolutely critical aspects. Now, what Dr. Aurobindo Mitra, the scientific secretary in the Principal Scientific Advisor's Office, has done is that he's invited Dr. Sachidanand Tripathi, with whom, by the way, I had a very nice interaction a couple of months ago, where I also met JP Vasandani after, I think, 40-ish years. So that was really terrific to meet both these people. And so if Sachin can come over to Delhi and meet with us, we'll link them to the DST, the Environment and Forest, and the Earth Sciences people, so we can take this forward, and Dr. Aurobindo Mitra and I will coordinate happily. Dr. Mitra has also proposed setting up a knowledge cluster on air pollution with other institutions in the area. I think that's absolutely important. We all know what to do with air pollution on a global scale, but we need to translate that into policy and decision making in a doable manner on a local scale. And that's what IIT Kanpur can take the lead. The Pollution Control Board has, is stretched, it has huge responsibilities. It has challenges in enforcing its decisions. Data is very important for that, and therefore one needs to work with them, as JP points out, and with the district administration to make things happen. And finally, my office is very, very enthusiastic about this. We have taken up several major missions, and we have our hands full in coordinating, but none of those missions will go forward unless we address these serious issues such as air pollution in a doable manner. So that will be something which we will set up a team and a project management group here to work in multiple locations, but we'll start with Kanpur and use that as a model. So if you have any questions, just do let me know. But thank you very, very much.
Sir, I'm Ratinathan from Personal Air Quality Systems, Bangalore, leading at OISA. Sir, we are a private company, but having worked in this domain, have created device, context aware calibration, the backward framework also. We do believe that there is a need for a collaborative initiative between government institutes and private institutes to put together the data. Like we believe that smart cities was one of the first opportunities where we could put multiple sensors and get data relevantly calibrated and get mass scale data available every 30 seconds. So how do we get a framework to put in all the data for use, sir? It needs a perspective like a person like you, sir, at a national level. Can't hear you. But he has to. You have to unmute, sir. You have to unmute. Yeah. Sir, you have to unmute.
Is this better?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, good. Good. Thank you. Yeah. So very quickly, there are three components to the data analysis. One is you need to get data in real time. Now, sensors which are placed across the situation are one way of getting it, but there are other data which are collected by central and state agencies, which is difficult to get. That's where offices such as my office can help in collecting that. Secondly, you need a group of people who will be dedicated to analyzing the data and distilling it and seeing what it means. That Kanpur is unusually well positioned in having a computer science department, but also a new department, I think it's called economics and policy or something like that. These two departments need to work together to work on the data in a manner, and this is where you come in, where you make application programming interfaces which can then be used by any private company to deliver services to citizens. So these three components need to be put in place, and it'll be really terrific if the IIT Kanpur Alumni Association works on this project to put these three elements in place, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you very much. I'm not on the DST, by the way. For the DST, you have to write to the DST. But I'll be happy to help with the DST also. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Bye.
So we have the last speaker of the day. One more is there? Okay. Okay. So the next speaker is Anita Bhargav. Since I've been giving 2-sentence introductions, I'm going to give a 4-sentence introduction to Anita. She worked on a program called Let's Do It Delhi, where she was able to mobilize 50,000 Delhiites in 125 different events to clean a particular area in Delhi. But she considers it a failed event because it couldn't be maintained. What they cleaned couldn't be sustained or maintained. She's been working in all kinds of different roles, working as a pro bono consultant to the Municipal Commission of Delhi. She's worked on sanitation in a particular ward which was supposed to be scaled up. It didn't happen. But she's had amazing experiences with at different government levels. And I think she can tell us how we should move forward so that something actually happens in Kanpur. Anita Bhargav.